Hello, hello. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Can you tell me where my country lies? That's a Genesis line. How am I sounding? Is everything okay? Hoi, Hadwig. Goedenavond. Hi, Steve. You alright, mate? Yes, a fantastic result for Everton yesterday. Very, very surprising. Sheffield Wednesday. How are you doing, mate? Loud and clear, thank you. Lizzie, Casper, Mandy. Yes, right. Het gaat goed met mij. But as you can tell by the title of this particular stream, I have been very fatigued the last week. Incredibly tired. And I don't know why. Kirsty, how are you doing? You alright? I had occupational therapy on Friday for the first time in 2 weeks. I've had to do my own stuff at home, which I'm quite good at doing, but not the same as my therapist. So instead of half an hour, she had me there for 3/4 of an hour, and I was shattered by the end of it. On top of a week where I was already fatigued. But my daughter's work down at the fair, Southport Fair, Pleasureland, they're closed for the season. So I didn't have to take her into work yesterday or today. So I've had 2 lie-ins, 2 proper lie-ins. I mean proper lie-ins. So I'm not feeling as fatigued as I would have normally done. But I was absolutely exhausted this week. Steve, how are you doing, mate? I missed the Norwich game yesterday. In fact, I missed quite a few of them actually, even though there was loads on, wasn't there? Even watching the highlights, I missed it last night. But yeah, massive result for Everton. Very, very surprising. Yeah, really enjoyed that. I enjoyed actually watching the game as well, which is a surprise because normally we are utter shit. Botrix, welcome Botrix. Let's see what kind of mood he's in today. You know, it's been a mood, haven't you, the last few weeks. 6'2", jeez, I didn't realise that. That's heavy, that, mate. That is really heavy. Considering how good Norwich are, that is, yeah, very, very surprising. Saf, no worries, mate, if you're working on your aquariums. Just turned up in the first place, I'm very, very grateful for that. Yeah, there's been a few strange results this weekend, and we've got a game on Saturday, is it, or Sunday? I can't remember. Saturday, I think, which I should be able to go to because I've now got my blue badge, which I've been utilising. Like I've said before in these streams, I'm not going to abuse it and just use it constantly, but with the week I've had being so absolutely wiped out, I have had to use it a fair bit. I've been struggling to walk, especially walking around Tesco, which is usually half my day's steps. I've been really having to take my time because it's very, very tiring. Saf, you'll still be listening, just not replying. Sounds like my daughter. How do we? Oh yeah. Ajax supporters kept throwing fireworks to the Feyenoord goalie. Considering there's no away fans in that game, it's surprising. That was at Ajax, wasn't it? So there's just Ajax fans in the entire stadium. And I thought Groningen were the only bad team in that league. Well, they're not even in that league, are they? They're in the Eerste Divisie. I was probably trying to get the game called off at that point. Yes, Kirsty, blue badge has arrived. It really has been quite handy. Just being able to get close to the shops or a couple of other places I've had to use it. But what I really want it for is I want to go to the Everton game on Saturday, park near the stadium. Then my dad can have his weekend to himself. Doesn't have to worry about trying to take me there and everywhere. Casper, how you doing, mate? Yeah, Groningen. I've had an issue with Groningen ever since 1983 or 84, I think it was. I can't remember. My dad went in for a diving header in the box and someone deliberately stood on his face and cut him from there to there. And then they tried to take him off and substitute him, and my mum was screaming at him, "Get back on the pitch, you shithouse," because it was a cup game, and the trainer or the physio said, "Come down and have a look," and when he done that, he peeled the skin away, and you could see his teeth, his jawbone, and his tongue. So it was a very, very bad injury. He had to have plastic surgery, loads of stitches in there. And when he played Groningen again a few weeks later, the manager wouldn't allow him to play because he knew full well he would have just punched the fella in the face. Because he's quite a tough man, my dad. Wouldn't take a backward step from anyone. Also a really nice fella, but on the pitch, definitely wouldn't mess with him. Yeah, so somewhere we've got a picture. I'll see if I can dig it out one of these days. It's in the loft somewhere, but just this huge cut down there. It was horrible. He had the plastic surgery, and over the years, you can still see a little bit of a scar, but he looks okay. They did a good job on him. It wasn't good. He had another injury when Wrexham were playing. I forget who it was they were playing as well. The ball was at the other end of the field, and someone just turned around and headbutted him. And I think it's his right. In fact, it's the same side. His right cheekbone was fractured, jaw was fractured, and he's got 3 pins, and his cheekbone had to be replaced and what have you. So now, if there's ever a thunderstorm, he knows, because the 3 pins, starts vibrating. You can always tell there's a thunderstorm on the way when his face starts going strange. Very odd, but there you go. Yeah, Lizzie, you don't want to see the inside of my dad's face. And yes, Steve, he was, I think, it was a bit of a beast when he played. Tough man. The fans who supported his teams used to love him because of that. Always give 100% and wouldn't take a backward step. I think we've got, funnily enough, we've got his scrapbooks upstairs. It shows you what the press are like. On the back of, I think it was the Sun or the Star, was a picture of Joe Jordan punching me dad, and on the back of the Mirror was my dad punching Joe Jordan, and it was spun like it was an absolute bloodbath, which it was. But at the end of the game, they shook hands and went and had a beer together, because that's what men did in those days. You just left it all on the pitch, no arsing round afterwards, no arguing on social media, no Wagatha Christie rubbish. Just get on with it, have a pint afterwards. So yeah, some very tough men back then. Jesus, the real tough fellas. Hadoui, yes, he is still absolutely loved at FC Twente, which is why they ended up doing a documentary about him, even after all these years. It's crazy. I mean, 1985 was when we moved back home, and he's still spoken about in reverence there, and the same at Middlesbrough and at Wrexham. He's in the Hall of Fame at Wrexham, and the fans just absolutely adore him. Tranmere, on the other hand, he was there for 1 year and was injured most of it, so we haven't got the best of memories of that time. But, you know, yeah, Steve, Joe Jordan, what a specimen, what a tough man, and a great player as well. Plus a really nice fella, to be honest. Like I say, back then there was they would used to kick the shit out of each other, but it was all left on the pitch. Nowadays he watches the games and it's just, what are these doing? Rolling about, crying. The Arsenal game when we played them last week, constantly saying to the referee, elbow. I'm thinking, elbow, where's the blood? If you're elbowed, there will be blood everywhere. You haven't even been touched. You're absolute cowards. Yes, Lizzie, he is adorable. He's a lovely fella. Everyone that meets him just thinks he's brilliant. He's funny, engaging, charming. Top fella. And yes, Mandy, you can't bruise footballers' faces now because they have genuinely got photo shoots to do. We've got a lad called Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Very attractive young man, 6-pack. He's a model. He was wearing a pair of shorts, like culottes shorts, which made it look like he was wearing a skirt, and everyone just lost their mind at Everton. Why is he wearing a skirt? Well, he wasn't. He was wearing a pair of shorts, but even if he decided to wear a skirt, he doesn't care. And he was getting paid handsomely to do it. So, why not? You couldn't really have people like Nobby Stiles or Joe Jordan modelling back in them days, could you? Although I suppose you could do, but they wouldn't be modelling anything decent. They could model oven gloves, that's about it really, isn't it? That'd be the level at it. Yeah, it is, do you know what, Steve, it is hard to watch at times nowadays. I watch a lot of rugby league, which I prefer to do. Boxing or rugby league, because just, again, with the rugby league, they smash the living shit out of each other for 80 minutes. And then at the end of it, they all shake hands and they're all laughing and smiling and joking. If you get footballers doing that after they get beat, the fans go mad. But with the rugby league, you can't go mad at those players because they just give their all for 80 minutes. They're covered in blood, eyes out here, nose hanging off. Just absolutely give everything. If they want to have a laugh about it with the mate on the opposition side, leave them to it. You can't complain about it at all. So I'd rather watch that. Although I've been, as well with the football, I'd rather watch the Championship, League 1 or League 2. Much, much better. Much more enjoyable. Less cynical. Less money involved, far less cynical. Although Wrexham got hammered as well yesterday, 5-0 at Stockport. So that wasn't that good. Yes, Lizzie, football it is super tribal, and it's too tribal at times. I always used to think it was the most important thing on earth. What you do when you're growing up, your team is the most important thing, but it's not. It's genuinely not. It is just a game at the end of the day. It's a lovely way to spend time with people of a similar mindset, a similar ilk, with your mates. That's great. I love doing that. I missed that while I was away from the game, not seeing the lads who sitting around me. Just seeing them that first game was brilliant. Had a chat, didn't really care about the result, it was seeing them again and getting myself out of the house. But yeah, it's nowhere near as, it shouldn't be as tribal as it is. It's stupid. Enjoy it, have the rivalry, but at the end of the day, it is just a game, mate. Know what I mean? Yeah, it's stupid seeing. There's loads of things on TikTok, and I don't think it's made it to YouTube, of 80s and 90s football hooligans chatting about how great it was, and they're all wearing the Stone Island stuff, get the badge in, you know what I mean? They're always saying the same thing. There was only 4 of us against 600 of them, and we battered them everywhere. But they were game lads, they didn't run. Utter shit. Not one hooligan has ever lost a fight, despite the fact that you see them lying around with their faces in bits all the time. It's stupid. Mandy, yes, I was going to change Bot's speech, but I completely forget about it. With the best will in the world, if I try and remember something, 10 minutes later it can be gone. And then it only comes back when someone reminds me, so if I can remember later, I will try and do it. Remind me later. Because I'll need to be reminded. I should never remember a bloody thing. Cape Town City versus Cape Town Spurs. Alright, divided into blue and red camps. That sounds very, very familiar. Blue and red. I was going to say half of the city, but we've got a bit more than half of the city, because half of theirs come from Norway. Horrible. Wake you up when the football speak ends. It's not about football, it's about sociology, it's about tribalism. All about tribalism, unfortunately. As you should know if you lived in Liverpool, how bad it can be. Just it's worse than religion. And again, if you want to go to Glasgow or Belfast, you've got your religion and you've got your football, which is pretty much the same thing, isn't it? Rangers and Celtic. I don't get that at all. Stupid. I don't understand why there's people from Ireland who've got such a vested interest in 2 Scottish teams. The same as there's people in Liverpool who I know who are absolutely obsessed with either or. So just support your own team and let them get on with it. Singing songs about the Battle of the Boyne in the 1600s or whatever it was. Stupid. 2023, grow up, lads. Kirsty, are you doing that thing on your phone, are you? The I forget what it's called. It's really good if you can do that. I've got mates who are brilliant at it. And they can type anything they want perfectly, and it takes them milliseconds to do. I tried it and mine came out the same. It was just stupid. Yeah, Kirsty's Duolingoing. Half English, half Dutch, and half maths, which if you know your maths is a really, really bad percentage. Yeah, the hunting, gathering and fighting for food has gone, so we vent our testosterone over anything we can. Football just happens to be the most popular version of it at the moment. I think I would have been an absolutely shit hunter-gatherer because I've got not enough of that testosterone at all. Can't be arsed arguing. I never had a fight at school. Probably because I was too much of a smart mouth. I'd have everyone else laughing to the point where if the person that wanted to argue with me was to throw a punch, they'd look stupid. Better football than war. Well, less people die. Just about, thankfully. But yeah, definitely argue over that, but at the end of the day it is just a game. You know yourself over in the Netherlands with what happened at the Battle of Beverwijk with the Ajax and Feyenoord fans, and someone died from it. It's taking it too far. They're supporting your club and then it's being stupid. Bankem bro. Right, Kirsty, are you doing that again? Or is that just some London ghetto speak? Because I've heard lads, Arsenal fans especially, Bankem bro, win ball well bro, keep him back translator bro, know what I mean, innit? Arsenal TV, if you've never seen it before, has to be seen to be believed. When they lose, they're just, I don't know what language they speak. All that, blood fam. Do you know what? I'm not that tall in the Netherlands. I wasn't that tall when I was 9 or 10 anyway. Again, I think I mentioned this before, but I was only talking to someone else about it the other day. We had the summer holidays in school when I was 14 or 15, and I can't quite remember. My mate Eddie was 5'10", and he was one of the tallest in the year, and he was towering over me for ages. And then we had the summer holidays, and when I came back, I was 6'4". So I'd grown way taller than him. And there was a girl, used to sit next to me in Spanish, Louise her name was. And she stood next to me on the stairs going to the next classroom and went, "Ooh, you're tall, aren't you? When did that happen?" It's like, well, it just sort of happened over the summer. Yeah, "Oh, you're tall, aren't you?" It's as if I didn't realise. But yeah, I did realise. But that 15 centimetres, isn't it? I grew, 6 inches, 15 centimetres in the space of a few months, 3 or 4 months. And it was horrible. That fits in perfectly because the fatigue that I had growing from like 5'8", 5'9", 5'10", up to 6'4", wiped me out completely. I mean, completely wiped me out. I used to go home from school, go into my room, sit on the bed to try and take my boots off, and my mum would come and get me and say, "Your tea's ready." Hours later, I just absolutely wound, just completely gone. I had no energy whatsoever. That growing. The average height in the Netherlands for men is 183. Well, I'm 193. So I am above average, but certainly not tall by any stretch of the imagination over there. Seen some massive, massive lads there. People. Oh, is the people levelling up, are there? Is it? Yep. Ta-ra, Saf. Cheers for coming, mate. Thanks very much. Appreciate that. Yeah, Steve, I did have issues with my body growing so quickly. I had stretch marks, which is weird for a lad. I had them around me groins and on my back and things like that, because I grew so quick. And I was just completely wiped out for the best part of, I think, 6 months afterwards. I didn't have much energy, and then after that I was alright, but it took a long, long time for the stretch marks to go, and I still have some of them. They're not as pronounced now as they were, but yeah, it was a hell of a lot to grow in such a small period of time. And it surprised me. It worried me as well because of how tall I was compared to everyone else. It was I was sort of the tallest person in every room that I was in. Because back then 6'4" was huge. It's not now. I mean, there's girls who I know in our work who are as tall as me. That wasn't the case back then. But yeah, it made me very self-conscious. So I used to sort of hunch over slightly, and I had to have someone tell me and warn me if I did that, I'd end up with bad back and neck problems. So I did. I stood to me full height from the age of about 18 onwards. And I've got fairly decent posture, apart from sitting in this bleeding chair, which I need to get rid of. Um, yeah, it does. It makes you very, very self-conscious. Um, yeah, Lizzie, you'll know yourself just from the lads. Um, if you grow really quickly, it takes it out of you. It can give you stretch marks straight away anyway. But also it can mentally affect you. Like I say, you're feeling really self-conscious wherever you go to. When you don't need to, because it's just, it's your height. That's what you are. You were pre-programmed to become that height at some point. It'd be nicer if you did it a bit more at a steady average. But it doesn't work that way. You have them growth spurts. I think everyone's kids have growth spurts, don't they? Might just be, with my daughter, she had quite a few of them where I think she stopped growing now by the look of it. But she would just suddenly turn up a week after she'd been here and suddenly look completely different. It was bizarre. Yeah, but it's so strange. Physiognomy is so strange anyway. How you can have, I mean, I'm 6'4", my ex-wife's 6 foot. So we always thought that my daughter was going to be absolutely huge. And she's tall and thin, but she's not like a freak of nature. Well, she is, but not in that reason. Right, so Rich is really tall and stoops because of how self-conscious he was as a teen. I would have done. I did, and I would have continued to do so, but one of the fellas who come in our pub, who's also tall, said, stand to your full height because you will struggle really bad in later years. And I'm glad he told me that, because apart from work breaking me in half, my posture was good. I never had any back or shoulder problems until much later in life. And again, that was caused because of work making me sit at a desk that was too low, which they now have in place. Stuff that means I will have to have a desk that's high enough or raisable. So hopefully that shouldn't be a problem anymore. And I do still suffer with my shoulder and my back occasionally, but not as bad as I did. So hopefully I might be getting over the edge of that as well. How do we get it? Is convenient at concerts to be tall. It's convenient for a lot of things, but what it isn't is something that not a lot of people will think about. When it's raining and you've got people who are normal height walking down the road with you, you get your fair share of the rain, and then their umbrellas are down here, so it's bouncing off there onto you as well, so you end up piss wet through. Plus, a lot of people with umbrellas tend to poke you in the eyeballs because you don't realise how tall you are compared to them. I was nicknamed Get the Ball Off the Roof for a while, again because of how tall I was. I change a lot of light bulbs. I can reach light bulbs that other people have to stand on stools to reach. I've helped countless old women over the years getting things off shelves, high shelves or in low freezers. Can you get us that please, love? Yeah, of course I can. Do you need anything else while I'm here? There was a fella in a wheelchair in Tesco last month, I think it was, who said, oh, can you help me? Can you just pick me that off the shelf? I was like, I'll try my best, mate, but I can't use my left hand. But after two of us, I'm better off here, aren't I? So yeah, I got him where he needed. I've got to be really careful because I can't use that. He looked at me and went, oh, thanks very much, it is appreciated. But yeah, I've done that for so many years. Can you get us one of them? Can you get us that bottle of wine? It's pushed all the way back and I can't reach. Yep, no problem. Yeah, I should be the one holding the umbrella. If I did, I'd make sure that everyone else around me was dry as well, but I can't carry an umbrella. I'm not steed. I haven't got that look to carry it off. Plus, it'd need to be a golf umbrella, wouldn't it? and I can't do golf. I can't do any kind of golf stuff because I live in a very, very golf-rich area and I hate it. You go in the park in Birkdale, the pub, and it's always full of people wearing full-on golf gear and just absolute wankers. Steve, I haven't watched the Peter Crouch documentary yet. My mum and dad did. I know I've got Everton mates who said it was brilliant, and even though he's an ex-copite, he always comes across as being a good lad, so I might have to watch that, I think. Yeah, he does seem a decent lad, doesn't take himself too serious. Well, obviously you couldn't take yourself serious looking like a fucking Pepper Army, could you? Um, so yeah, you got Richard golf umbrella for the whole family, brilliant. Always give it the tallest one, yeah. Of course, the only problem with that is if you're really tall with a golf umbrella, if there's a thunderstorm, you will be the one hit by lightning. Um, I'm not sure I'm willing to take that risk just to keep other people dry, even my own family. Sod them. I'll get them a towel when we get home. There's been a few good documentaries, actually, football documentaries that I've watched. Some of them are bloody awful, but some good ones. I have to watch the Crouch one. Um, there's a fantastic book that I read years ago called Left Foot Forward by Gary Nelson, the diary of a journeyman pro. And he used to play for Charlton and he played for a couple of other teams, and it was just a story of someone outside of the Premier League, what it was like not being quite good enough to make it in that top echelon of the game. Getting paid an okay wage but not brilliant, and what you had to do on a day-to-day basis, worrying about getting contracts and things like that. Fantastic. He's a really good writer, and he's a good Evertonian as well, from down south somewhere, but he's a good blue. So yeah, I love that. I love reading about the stuff that away from the glamour. Anyone can read about the glamorous side of things. I seen the Ronaldo documentary, Cristiano Ronaldo. That was interesting, but there's only so much you can look at someone's Ferrari and Lamborghini collection and think, this bears no resemblance to anything I will ever understand. So I'd rather not watch stuff like that. I'd rather see about the down to earth, normal lads. Someone that I could have been me. I could have been a contender. Lizzie, golf is one of those sports you don't understand. Don't even know why it's called a sport. For me, I hate it. It's one of those. I think it might be like a bit like porn. I think it's something that's better to do than watch. I've got no idea why people will watch golf. It does my head in. My mate used to call it whack fuck, because that's all you ever used to hear at the golf course. Just whack fuck. Yeah, hate it. Tennis is the same for me. Can't be doing with it. I can understand why people do get a little bit into it by sort of Wimbledon week. If I did have to watch it, I'd have to watch the women's game. I can't be arsed watching 2 6'8" fellas just serving as hard as they can. It's all martial and no art, isn't it? At least with the women, you do get the occasional rally that lasts for a while, but no, not a game I'm into. And golf, just even the Ryder Cup. It's nice beating the Americans, but just no. Can't be asked. And the reason why it's nice beating the Americans, by the way, if Daniel's in or anyone else, is because anyone who screams "get in the hole" every time a shot is taken deserves to lose. It's an awful, awful thing, and Americans need to stop it. Darts, snooker, and cricket. Now, darts, I don't mind watching the. I don't watch it too often, but I don't mind watching the World Championship when it's on. Normally it's January, February. That's not too bad. Snooker, I love playing. Again, I watch the World Championship occasionally, but not too often. Cricket, I absolutely love. Love watching it as well. But in Middlesbrough, we used to live in Cricket Lane, in Normanby, and it was called Cricket Lane because at the top of the road there was Normanby Cricket Club, which is where my dad used to spend a lot of time drinking. But I used to go there as well and used to go and watch the cricket all the time, so I used to love it. Um, that was the first time I'd seen someone really tall as well, which was a 6'8" South African fast bowler who looked like he was the most weird person on earth. He didn't look normal, he didn't look human. Looked like something off the films. Massive, massive fella. I'd never seen anyone that tall before. Kev, how you doing, mate? Now then, now then. Yeah. So I've always loved cricket ever since. Again, there's Lancashire occasionally play in Southport, which it's only a small ground, so there's loads of runs. And I've lived here for 32 years and never seen them. They also play in Egmouth occasionally in South Liverpool, and I have seen quite a few games there. We used to sneak in down by the fence, go and watch for free, obviously. Not done that for a while. I like the idea that you can go to a cricket match and spend all day on the ale, which obviously I can't do now. But back then I would have loved to have done that. Yeah, but there are some abysmal sports. Billiards, Casper. Actual billiards. That's a strange game, that one. Really is. Not something I was ever able to play. Pool I played quite a lot of, obviously growing up in a pub. Used to block the pockets up on a stay behind and play for hours. I know the dartboard as well. Put the light on. We have sort of an indoor league of our own when we weren't playing poker. The good old days, man. Used to be awake till 4 o'clock in the morning playing poker. Some things never change. Still awake late. Steve, you were the captain of your school cricket team. What were you? Batter, bowler, all-rounder, wicket-keeper, the main man. Takes some doing captaining a cricket team. You've got to have trust in the players, and they've got to have trust in you. Plus, it takes a lot of tactical nous being able to captain a cricket. There's loads more involved in cricket than people think, and all those that go mad, all-rounder, the Freddie Flintoff of defence. Yeah. People that say that you can play for 5 days and not get a result, it's awful. It's not. Sometimes you have a 5 days worth of cricket where you genuinely can't split the two teams, and it's been a really hard earned draw. In the same way that in boxing, you can have draws in boxing. You don't expect them to play sudden death overtime, do you? Punch each other until the first one gets taken out on a stretcher. Stupid. And again, it's part of the reason why I don't like that many American sports is the idea that you have to have a winner. You don't. A point. I mean, Everton stayed up last season, and the occasional point that we got away from home or that we picked up against teams we weren't supposed to be getting points from made the difference. Lizzie used to have the Sega Mega Drive. That brings back memories. Playing Sonic with me mate after I think he broke his leg. I used to love doing that. Cone billiards. Yeah, I remember that from the Netherlands. Kev used to live around the back of Edgbaston. Edgbaston's one of the best stadiums in world sport. For absolutely any sport. When they've got a good day at Edgbaston, is it the Hollies stand, the rowdy one? When they're in the mood and they've had a few beers, it's an absolutely incredible atmosphere. Love watching when England play there, especially England against Australia at Edgbaston. Doesn't get much better than that. Steve, no, you're just all round. Well, you've had the training, mate. You've put the hard yards in. I'm getting like that as well at the moment, unfortunately. I'm making sure that I've upped the amount of calories because I need to make sure that I'm getting stronger, but I'm also putting a bit of weight on and not being able to exercise as much. So I might have to just start cutting down a little bit. Don't want to lose too much though, because I've really felt uncomfortable being the weight that I was. Lizzie, you kicked the shit out of your brothers on Sonic. I can imagine that. Not taking no for an answer. No backward steps. Just getting in there, smashed them everywhere. We used to play Super Monaco Grand Prix, which was the greatest game of all time when we were playing it. The graphics were amazing, and you look at it now, it looks bloody awful. Um, some of the games I play on my PS5 now, it is scary. Scary because one, my left thumb doesn't work, so I'm really, really shite at them. But the graphics are incredible. Lizzie, I did lose weight. I lost 3 stone when I was in the hospital. I went from just under 16 stone to 12, 13, I think it was. But I'm back up to over 15 stone now, so I feel more comfortable. But yeah, I'm getting a bit of a cocky watchman's hut on me, and that needs to go. I need to work a little bit harder. What was the game where the character was a wolf-type animal? That sounds familiar, and I can't think at all. Oh, V-Rally on the PS1. That's another one. From a blast in the past. GoldenEye on the PS1 as well. Was it the PS1 or was it? No, it wasn't. Was it GoldenEye? What was that on? I can't remember. Oh, yeah, that Crash Bandicoot. The wolf. It was always... GoldenEye was on the NES, wasn't it? Super NES. Crash Bandicoot, you can still get that on the PlayStation now, I think. I got me PS2 and Grand Theft Auto 3, and I absolutely level the shit out of that. I used to play the original Grand Theft Auto, the top-down one. I loved that. We used to run over the Hare Krishnas and they'd come up with Garanga. Just, what a great game. When I played GTA 3 and all of a sudden it was a completely different game on the PlayStation, oh man, I loved that. I almost killed myself picking that PlayStation up from Garston as well. I was putting petrol in the car, and when I went to get back in and close the door, a gust of wind caught it and it hit me on the back of the head, just behind the ear. I drove all the way home, and when I got home and went into my bedroom, the whole room was spinning and I ended up throwing up. So probably shouldn't have been driving. Probably concussed. Oh, GoldenEye was on the PS1 as well, so that's probably where I played it. Yeah, Grand Theft Auto, just any of them. I love Vice City to this day, is one of my favourite games. I used to nick a car, obviously being from Liverpool, that's what we do, and then go and drive to the sea. And I put on the 1980s, was it Wave 103, the radio station, and I just sit looking at the water. This is in a game, just looking at the water, listening to 80s music. And I do that all the time while I had a car parked outside and I live near the beach. I could have just drove down to the beach, but we don't have the sea, do we, unfortunately, at Southport. It's miles away. Yeah, the top-down GTA in 95ish. There was that, and in GTA 2, another top-down one which was a bit more in-depth, but I thought the original one was fantastic. Zelda was great as well. It had a fantastic theme music to it, and the soundtrack was superb. Yes, Lizzie, it wasn't good at all. It was definitely not good. I didn't realise, just drove home. It's like 20 miles from Garston back to Southport. And yeah. But I got home safe with my PlayStation 2. And then I was unemployed at the time. So I managed to get quite a few hours under my belt before I had to start working. So I was delighted with that. And I've played them ever since, Call of Duty. Back in 2007, people were debating whether to get a PlayStation or an Xbox or whatever it was at the time. And all the lads in work just decided we're all going to get the PlayStation PS3 and buy Call of Duty so we can all game together, and we did. And we've all ended up staying with PlayStation. Unfortunately, we don't play Call of Duty together that often anymore, which is a shame. Especially, we didn't have streaming software back then, because some of the funniest times I've ever had were with me mates, headsets on, just talking shite to each other. American fellas, there was a fella from New York who couldn't believe that we were speaking English, and was just sat there pissing himself laughing for hour after hour. on the terminal map playing throwing knife dodgeball and just laughing. We're supposed to be shooting people, and the other people were turning up, seeing where we were. Instead of killing us, but listening, trying to think what was going on, seeing what we were doing. We were getting messages, what were you doing there, instead of fighting us. Throwing knife dodgeball, mate. That's where the action was. I miss that. Not everyone works in our place anymore, so I don't see them that often anyway. But it would be nice just to everyone get back together and play a few games and have a chat over the headsets. Yeah, Casper, explain a LAN party to a teen nowadays. What is it? What's LAN? Imagine that now, when people have to go to a different shop. Everyone's in a shop, loads of computers all patched in together just to play a game. Whereas now, you start it up and anyone anywhere in the world, you can add them and play whenever you feel like it. Black and white on PC. You play as a god controlling a giant monkey. I vaguely remember that. I think that was a huge game at the time, wasn't it? Something that everyone spoke very highly about. And again, if you looked at it now, you'd think it was basic, but back then it was such a huge evolution. I miss the days of playing. Yeah, Lizzie. When Pong came out, I was the same. My first console was a grandstand console, which had wood veneer on the sides of it, and it had Pong, and it had table tennis, breakout, and something else. And I thought that was amazing. I had the Space Invaders game as well, which would be worth an absolute fortune now, but obviously is no longer there. Thinking how what a leap in technology that was, and then I'm playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, is it now? Where it just looks like a film. It doesn't even look like a computer game anymore. The cutscenes especially. It's insane how good it is. Especially on a 4K Ultra HD TV. It just blows my mind. And I think we've had this conversation before, haven't we, about technology and what other people saw in their lifetime. In my lifetime, as a gamer, I've seen Pong onwards to the point where we are now. VR headsets and things like that. Yeah, Lizzie, give a kid an old rotary phone would blow the mind, having to do that. Art Steve, Daley Thompson decathlon. I don't think my fingers have ever got over that, having to flicky. That was a great game though. But yeah, either break your fingers or break the keyboard. And more like you're going to break your fingers, aren't you, rather than breaking those old keyboards. It's funny seeing kids trying to use anything nowadays. They haven't got a clue. Obviously they wouldn't do because it's not around them anymore. See my nephew trying to work out what a record was to begin with. I always thought that was funny. And then I had to explain how you use them and how to be really, really careful, because if you scratch it, it's knackered. Even my daughter didn't know what a cassette or a CD was to begin with. She's now got a record deck, a CD player, and loves the kind of music I was growing up with. So I'm delighted with that. But yeah, you have to show these kids how to use these things. Luckily, vinyl's made a comeback. I'm sure that gaming, eventually, there'll be a throwback to when... as much as the new games, they're absolutely fantastic. The simplicity of things like Sonic the Hedgehog will not be beaten. That's just a really simple game, but you can spend hour after hour and still not get bored with it. Manic Miner and Jet Set Willy on the Spectrum or the Amstrad. Those games are better than a lot of games I've spent a fortune on over the years. I still get more enjoyment out of them, or I would do if my left-handed start working. But yeah, one of the best games of all time. And again, it's really simplistic, isn't it? But Tetris. Give a kid a little Game Boy with Tetris on it and watch them. The minds are blown how enjoyable it is and how little is involved. Absolutely fantastic. Oh, Casper, LimeWire. Yes, I think we've all been there with LimeWire. Everybody who's ever been on there has had every disease known to man in their computer. Crazy. Your nephew knows the rotary phone because your mum has one as a decoration. Ah, right. That's They'll make a comeback as well. Rotary phones, even though they'll all be digital, but you'll have to do the rotary thing. Um, it's crazy, isn't it? Steve, what do we all play now? Um, I pretty much play exclusively when I can Call of Duty, and I'm annoyed. I think obviously because I had my stroke in the August last time. It was just before the end of that year's run of Call of Duty, and I didn't buy this one until very very late on, and I've not been able to get anywhere near the prestige that I normally would do, or the level that I normally would do. I took great delight in hitting 10th prestige on every Call of Duty since 2007 until he changed the way it worked. So it has become a bit of an OCD thing with me now. I need to have the next one every time. I need to do as well as I can. Joey Essex not being able to work them out was strange, but it is, yeah. It is the norm. If people don't show you how to do something, you don't know how to do it. So I never feel like someone's stupid for not being able to work it out for themselves. Because it's so archaic. Yeah, Lizzie, the old games are so addictive. Again, Jet Set Willie is one of my favourite ones. I had that on the Amstrad CPC 464 back in 1986, I think it was. We got that, and I would have it now if I could. There's a bundle with that console like a little computer. Harrier Attack, Roland on the Ropes, Roland in the Caves, Fruit Machine, which was just a really shitty Fruit Machine game, and it was absolutely beyond addictive. The Wild Bunch, I bought that from a shop under the bridge in Garston. It cost me £3, which was a huge amount of money at the time. And I loved that. So much so that a couple of weeks ago, I found an entire playthrough of it on YouTube, and I watched it from start to finish, like an absolute dick that I am. But I really enjoyed it, just hearing the sounds, the music playing in the background, seeing the names on there. Brilliant. I love that. World of Tanks Blitz. That's something I haven't played. I've played a few World of Tanks games over the years. I'll have to look into that, I think. Lizzie too busy sleeping or mumming and no time for fun anymore. Yep. That's a full-time education. Well, it's a full-time education. It's a full-time job as well, mumming. Full-time mumming. So to fit sleeping in while you're still full-time mumming takes some doing. Fitting gaming in, you'd be a genius. Oh, Kirsty, you had a Sonic cuddly toy. Give it to your nephew when he was born. Brilliant. And looked after as well. Sonic's gone with him. That's how it should be, going to his kid when he has one. Family heirlooms don't have to be antiques. They don't have to be silver spoons coming down from generation to generation. It's anything that means something to you and has been pushed down, handed down. What am I going to about pushed down? Stupid. Yeah, family heirloom it is. Big Ben will go digital, definitely, at some point. Aren't the bongs already digital at times? I know they were when you were fixing it, weren't they? They recorded the bongs. You never know, one of these days it might have to, because not only is it a normal clock face, but it hasn't got numbers on. And kids nowadays they look at a clock in wonder, as in I wonder what time it is. Nobody teaches them. I tried to teach Jess and she just hasn't got a clue. I know my mum and dad tried to teach me when I was young, but I'm sure I learned it in school rather than at home. The schools not teach this anymore, along with things like basic maths, being able to add numbers and subtract numbers, because kids nowadays seem to be thick as shit. Yeah, digital bongs. They did when the place was getting redeveloped and painted and stuff like that. I know they had digital bongs because they couldn't have the actual bell getting hit. The vibrations would have caused all kinds of trouble. Analog's not taught anymore. That's stupid. It should be. Not everywhere in the world will have digital clocks. If you go somewhere in the outback of South America, in the middle of nowhere, very few people will have watches. There'll be the town clock, and you need to be able to read it to see what time it is. Yep, Kirsty, Big Ben is the bell, not the clock tower. That's something that not enough people know, unfortunately. It's funny as well with Daniel not knowing how we tell our time. I mean, obviously, I'm sure he'll know how to read the clock, but not knowing how we tell ours, like 25 to and 10 to. It's just bizarre. And of course, the Dutch are odd the way they do their language, their time. 8:30 for us. It was 8:30 for them. 8:30 will be half an hour to 8. So strange. Who caused more viral mishaps, LimeWire or Russell Brand? Yes, I think I trust me kids with LimeWire more than Russell Brand, to be honest. How do we? Yes, levelled up, brilliant. So I'll quick look and see if there's anyone else getting close. What? No, just loads more points. Just bizarre. I don't know. I don't think level 10 is the final level. I don't think it's the boss level. Even though you're already there, Mandy, I think it might just be more and more points. But we will need to start looking into these things. It just makes no sense. None of this makes any sense at all. I've got no idea. I had a look on the Discord to see if there's any kind of clue as to how the points and levels work, and nobody seems to know. Not even the people who are running the Discord. You'd think they would be the people in charge, but no. Apparently not. Very, very odd. Owen isn't snowed off and have one bro. Let's being Jack. Yeah, exactly what I was thinking. That Kirst, exactly what I was thinking. It's only 8:30 if it's 8:30, not entire 8:30. Yeah, but 8:30 for us is 8:30, not 2:30. And it's something I had to get used to because not only are you an hour ahead anyway, you're also an hour ahead when it comes to the halves, which was bizarre. I did get used to it though, and I saw something this week in the paper. No, I didn't. I don't read newspapers. Stop being a lying gimp. On my phone on some kind of news site that thinking in another language helps you learn that language better. You become better at it, and that's what I used to do when I was doing me sums, doing me addition and subtraction, doing me maths in Dutch. I would think in Dutch. I wouldn't think in English and then translate the word into Dutch. I'd think in my head it would be. Yeah, yes, how do we wait till Kirsty learns about 10 for half 8? That is going to be bizarre. 20 past 7, isn't it? 10 for half 8. Oh no, is it? Yeah, 20 past 7. It's bizarre. It'll take you an age to get to 11. No idea. It's just up the wall. Botrix is Botrix. It plays by its own rules. This is proper freeform jazz, the way it does this kind of thing. Thinking in English helps you practice it. Exactly. You become a lot more entrenched in the language when you think it. I don't see how you can translate it in your head. Just think it in the language that you're trying to speak. And if it makes no sense, check with someone else afterwards. Oof. I think that storm must be outside at the moment. It's getting very, very noisy out there. We've got weather warnings for Wednesday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, because it's the hurricane, the Atlantic hurricane that hit the Caribbean and parts of the United States. We're getting the back end of that. And of course, where I am, the beach is that way, Ormskirk's that way, and it's just farmers' fields, and then there's absolutely nothing that way until you get to Belfast. So if it's windy, there's nothing to stop it at all. We don't half get it. It's very, very strange. When you speak English for a bit, you can't think of the Dutch word sometimes. It is. I'm sure your brain gets in that. What's in that mindset, obviously, where you're thinking in that. You get used to it, and you have to stop for a second and reset before. I mean, I can speak multiple languages, but I think at times it does. It takes me a while to suddenly think, all right, I need to stop. And Spanish is nothing like German or Dutch, and my English is like no one else's English, obviously. Lizzie, your nan completely forgot to speak Flemish after living in Britain since she was 18, but she wouldn't admit it. I understand that completely. I haven't forgotten Dutch completely, even though 1985, so it's a while ago. But if you're not using it all the time, you lose so much of it that it becomes almost useless. You need to practice it. You can remember words, but it's getting them together. Joining them together is the hard part. It's that day-to-day speaking it, to structure things, which you don't if you just sat at home thinking about the occasional sinaasappel or aardvark or whatever it is on skill padding. You want to play brick alchemy? Hang on, have I just missed something? What the bleeding hell is brick alchemy? Frozen and sour cake, corn piece, Czech black. Playing brick alchemy. Isn't that It's the End of the World as We Know It by R.E.M. Bizarre. that's Dragon's Den right there. Make that game. Write it and see if you can get someone to put it together. That'd work well. Isn't it strange the way language works that way? And you get yourself into that mindset. It really is. I tell you, it's why alcohol helps. Why people are a bit more free, and they will speak a language that they know, to be a bit more free and just give it a go. And words might come to them, or if they don't care, they'll ask for help with it. Again, over in Cuba, I was speaking fairly good Spanish, but then I was drinking fairly good rum, so that helps. Probably the same with the Dutch as well. If I was to drink alcohol again, I'm sure I'd be better at Dutch than I am at the moment. Mandy, you have cake in the freezer. What kind of cake is it? Yeah, you just beat me to it, Lizzie. Is it sour? And I'm now pissed off that someone else has got cake, but I haven't. Why haven't I got cake? I've got something and I can't think what it is. I've got something. I've got crunchies, yeah. What crunchies? You haven't peed your lawn pack. Lizzie, come on. You can admit to us. No, I've not got jelly beans. I did give Ewan and Jess the proper full-size jelly beans because I bought them the other week. I had 2 packs in my car waiting for them. So they've got loads of jelly beans off me. I might have to get some more next time I'm in Tesco, which will be tomorrow, I would have thought. But yeah, I made sure they got proper ones, full-sized ones. And they weren't expecting them either. So it comes as a nice shock. You've got Twiglets and Buenos. Mandy, are those snacks, or you're on about some kind of South Californian prison gang? The Twiglets and the Buenos. Right. How do we keep got stroopwafel? Now that is fantastic. But also, Kirsty, Nick Hatch. My mate is called Nick Hatch. That's straight. He's from Birmingham. He lived up in Southport. Him and his wife, who lives around the corner, they're not together anymore. They moved up to Southport for work, and he come in our pub. And because he was from Birmingham, he earned the nickname the Radish, which came from Alvida St. Pet, where Barry from Birmingham, well, he's from West Bromwich, wasn't he? The West Bromwich and District Building Society, when he said to Wayne, stop calling me a radish wine. So, of course, Nick being from Birmingham got called the Radish. Yeah, strange to seeing his name up there. And I want to know what a Brom patch is. Tea? Oh, yeah, I've got tea as well. I've got green tea with lemon, and I've got jasmine green tea. I need to remember that. Instead of just drinking gallon after gallon of Earl Grey. There's even got a Toblerone so big you could stove someone's head in with it. Is that one of the Billy Connolly pervert Toblerones that you get at airports? Green tea with lemon and honey. Groene tea. Yeah, Toblerones are evil things, aren't they? So tasty, but again, Billy Connolly, they don't, sweeties that hurt you when you put it in your mouth and try and do that with it, and just jabs it up your nose or through the roof of your mouth. They should come with a toolkit. He was right. They should definitely come with a toolkit. Or do Toblerone do their own little Alps, the evil sweetie. That's it. That's a great routine that he does. That's how yodeling was invented. Do they come just individual Alps on their own? Like a Teddy's chocolate orange, you smash it on the deck and just all individual Alps. They should do that. Casper's salivating because of all our evil sweetie talk. Casper with shocks brownie past marbles needing vertical vehicle. That does sound like a day-to-day headline. I can imagine Chris Morris doing that one. It is a fantastic routine. Mind you, most things by Billy Connolly leaves me weak. I'm glad that we never had reaction channels back in those days. I remember mate Mick and his dad brought a Billy Connolly DVD round to ours that I'd not seen before. And I almost lost it completely. I think I'm very, very close to pissing myself. And them two were laughing as much at me laughing as they were at Billy. Absolutely genius. The best to ever do it. Botrix, Largo, Fish, Wick, Special Calorie Partly View, Patrick. 7 down. How many letters? I was lucky enough that my mum and dad, I don't want to say liberal, or, you know, they don't really give a shit that much. I was able to watch films that were scary films for adults, or things that you wouldn't normally watch, like kids watch, you know, obviously nothing pervy or anything, but things that gave me a better vocabulary. But I was listening to Billy Connolly tapes and watching Billy Connolly Bites Your Bum when I was too young really to be watching it, and listening to Chubby Brown tapes. It would give me a sense of humour that was slightly advanced in age. I'll always be thankful for being able to listen to Billy Connolly, because it means I can understand Scotsman without struggling. Oh, you've got cornettos and feasts in the freezer. Horrible, horrible, Mandy, horrible. You just reminded me what I forgot to get yesterday. I've got one cornetto left. I've been buying the soft ones, hazelnut and caramel soft cornettos. Oh my word, they are absolutely incredible. So I need to go and get more of them tomorrow, and also the Lotus Biscoff, the Lotus Biscoff ice creams as well. They're so tasty. Yeah, the Piccadilly Connolly, we had that in the car, and Recon Tour, and there was something else that we had as well. So we used to listen to loads of them. Love that. Who was it? Someone reacted to one of his, it was boring reviews, I think it was, the two teachers. They reacted to Ivan the Terrible, the wrestler from Glasgow. That, I don't think they got it as much as possibly they would have done if they were from this country, but they got quite a bit of it. But yeah, I love that. It's amazing the surge of strength you get when you bite your own willy. He is the best to ever do it, Billy. Genius. Ivan the Terrible. It's the unfortunate one. I'll never get to see him. Never get to see him live, and I wish I did. So, yeah, that'll always be a regret. I did see Eddie Izzard. He was on stage for 2.5 hours, and I learned more in them 2.5 hours about history and Greek history especially, with Ajax and Agamemnon and all that stuff, than I ever did in school. I left educated, and also I was sore for days afterwards. I also saw Ardal O'Hanlon in the Epstein Theatre in Liverpool, who was absolutely brilliant. One of the one of his things he said, which has stuck with me ever since, was he asked his dad if he could have some chocolate, and his dad said, "Chocolate is the devil's shite." So for a long, long time, chocolate was known as the devil's shite in our house. Very, very funny man. And of course, played Dougal brilliantly, but he's not stupid, not remotely stupid. Yeah, I think they probably do sound like a bit like yours as well. Let you grow up at a decent rate. Um, I've said this before, haven't I, about treating kids as though they're young adults or mini adults, because if you continue to talk to them like the kids, they will just stay like kids. At some point, they have got to grow up slightly. If you let them experience films that are a few years ahead of where they should be, or listen to comedians who are a little bit ahead of where they should be. I mean, I was listening to Richard Pryor, so not only was it a little bit more adult than I should have been listening to, it was from a completely different country. It was about stuff that I had no understanding about. Black culture, growing up, being a drug addict, a black drug addict in the United States. But you learn from that. He lived. Can't even speak. Eddie Izzard's grandparents lived in the house next door to Rich. Just turned up there one day with a film crew. Funnily, you should mention that. My dad, being a driving instructor, was he drives all around Southport, Formby and Ormskirk, and he was in Ormskirk once, waiting for his next lesson, and he got out and just sat on a park bench, just about half an hour until his next lesson. Too late, or not long enough to drive back home, and too long to sit in the car. And it was when Eddie Izzard was doing all his marathons around the UK, and Eddie Izzard ran past, so he managed to get a photo with him and sent me a picture of it. I've just sat on the park bench in Ormskirk and Eddie Izzard run past. No, you didn't, you lying bastard. At which point he sent the picture. Mad. I never saw him in Taskmaster. I don't really watch Taskmaster, which I know I should do because everyone raves about it, but I think it was always been on when something else is on that I like. Yeah, Ardal O'Hanlon is really funny, really is. Good actor as well. To be able to play someone as catastrophically and heroically idiotic as Father Dougal takes some doing. And he did it very well. Larry Grayson used to turn up next door when I lived in the Midlands. That is a fantastically random fact. I don't think we're going to beat that one, are we, really? Well, do you know what we might do? If anyone else has got a better, can you beat Larry Grayson? That is an absolutely fantastic one. I did see Damien Moore last night, who's the Conservative MP for Southport. He was in Tesco, and every time I see him I want to smash him in the face because he's a knobhead. And I hate the fact that we are the only part of Merseyside that has a Tory MP. But yeah. Harry used to have British shows like Absolutely Fabulous and Keeping Up Appearances on TV when you were a kid. There wasn't many on TV when I was over there, but we used to have tapes sent over all the time, videotapes sent from Middlesbrough, so we used to have our Dutch friends watching things like Auf Wiedersehen Pet. It was definitely not on anywhere in Europe apart from the UK, but they loved it. Seeing all the Brits in Netherlands for a start, and then going through to Germany. Absolutely loved it. I think all the Billy Connolly videos got copied as well. We were exporting our culture. Our culture. Um, yes, Lizzie, throw whatever the closest grocery comes to hand next time I see him. I think he was in the electrics aisle, so there might be something fairly heavy. I might be able to smack him on the back of the head with and tell him to piss off back to Preston. Not that I've got against anything against Preston, because I like Preston. It's a good city, that. Got loads of mates there. I had to work there quite a lot. We've got buildings there. Stephen Fry lived right opposite you. Your cat at the time would go for a bit of attention, and he'd feed a fresh salmon. Stephen Fry always comes across as he'd be a good ally to cats. He's a good fella. I like him. Speaking of animals, should we go and have a look at Kipper's Corner? If this thing will bloody work. Oh no, apparently not. 1 second. Yes, there you go. Or maybe not. What's going on here? There we go. Bears raid a Krispy Kreme donut van making deliveries on an Alaskan military base. And Kippers says, not all bears. Which I think's a little bit dodgy, because enough of them did. I pressed buttons. I think my stream deck is about to throw a wobbler. Yeah, very strange. Seems to be some technical gremlins tonight. But there we go. So it just shows you how bloody knackered I've been recently. Yep, Stephen Fry, one of Norfolk's finest. He is the top man. Yeah, got there eventually. Kippers is, I think he likes to make me look stupid. Apparently I don't give him the attention he deserves. You know what he's like. You know what he's like by now. It's Horace I feel sorry for. Horace, the old boy, just chilling in the background, and Kippers is kicking off for everyone. Bang on top, man. Absolutely bang on top. Yeah, but I don't know why that wasn't working. There you go. He's an absolute prima donna. Do you know what? How do we? It might be Bottrix might have been causing the problem there. Bottrix is not getting the attention that deserves. Oh, what is going on here? Everything's going mad tonight. Let's have a look. See, Bottrix has now kicked me out. This is why everything's going mad tonight. There's something desperately wrong with the system. I blame the weather. Right, here we go. Yeah, back in on Bottrix, so it's all doing all right. Horace needs a slot as well. Right, I'll ask Horace what he wants to do. You'll have to think of something. He can't kick ass like Kippers. No, I don't think he'd like to. He's a bit more chilled. He's a pretty cool cat, as Horace, at the end of the day. Whereas Kippers is a bit of a punk. He's a bit of a punk ass bitch. Is our Kippers. Stephen Fry's moved out to Swaffham. Great Swaffham, isn't it? It's one of those places that I know from Alan Partridge. Norfolk has got some superb town and little village names wherever they are. I must admit they are superb. Swaffham. There's something, I don't know, there's something very English about that. Very wholesome. I like Swaffham. No idea what it's like. I mean, some places have got great names and absolute shitholes. There's Stockbridge Village on Merseyside. It sounds like a lovely little place, doesn't it? Which it's not. It used to be called Cantrell Farm. Or Cannibal Farm, as the locals used to call it. It's where the farm come from, the band. It's where they got the name from. Horace's Horrible Histories. Oh, now that's a good idea. Mandy, that is a very, very good idea. I wonder if Horace needs a voice of his own and what his voice would sound like. Clenchwarton, near Kings Lane. Clenchwarton's a great name. Oh, do you know what? I've never been there. I'm going to have to go to Clenchwarton. What is it? Don't tell me it's like there's a prison there or something. It sounds like a really proper old school market town or something. Kirsty's cheating paid off. It's not cheating. It's fiddling with the algorithm, isn't it? I like it though. Don't mind that at all. I'm trying to think if we've got any weird place names near us. Probably haven't really, have we? Yeah, you'd have thought Stephen Fry, if he's going to move anywhere, it's going to be pretty and expensive, or pretty expensive. Right, a village near RAF Holbeach, which is a live firing range. Right, I think we've got a live firing range not too far from us as well. Alcar, which is near Formby. Which is, yeah. Which is strange, because if you go a little bit further south, there's live firing ranges all around Bootle. But they're not anywhere near RAFs. An Upper Dicker and a Lower Dicker near you. Are those places, Lizzie, or is this a cry for help? Upper Dicker. Is that where Viagra was invented? Do we know? Little and Great Snoring. Do you know what? Is there anywhere else in the world that has place names that we have? Places like Nether Wallop and Twat. Anything we get walloped very hard with a broom. Again, Nether Wallop. There we go. These things feed into each other. Eight miles from here is a village called Stepping. Again, that's a pretty good name for a place. I like that. Kirsty, if you did the random writing thing on Daniel's stream, I'm not sure he'd notice. Or he's normally too nice to say anything, isn't he? He wouldn't question what it was. Isn't there a cat's bottom in Norfolk? I would think so. Weird. And there's a place called Taps where your mother grew up. That's another great name. I like that. Steve Dodd Kettle Baked Now Back Perch before Lego background. We have Muchenbeet. Moordenaarhuizen. Is that right? Naarhuizen is near houses, isn't it? Lul. Yes, the calm before the storm. Not. Hongerige Wolf. Hungry Wolf. Helmond. I remember them. They had a Helmond Sport football team. Dood Still. Dead Still. De Hell. Yeah. Rectum. That's the back end of nowhere. Vrouwen Verdriet. Vrouwen is women, isn't it? So what's Verdriet? I can't remember. You work half a day in Helmond. I used to hate Helmond Sport. I think they beat FC20 and stopped them winning the league. Moordenaarhuizen. Yeah, Daniel would just go with the flow. He seems to do that quite a lot when people throw just random stuff in. It's like, yeah, sound. There's twice as many cat's eyes than cat's bottoms. Correct. Very, very correct. Anatomically correct as well. Verdriet is sadness. Women's sadness. What a great name for a place. I'd like to know why it was called that though. Is there a specific reason why it's called Women's Sadness? The town, the place. You take care of the methadone medical heroin unit in Helmond. Fair enough. It's weird. I did quite well in geography in the Netherlands, but obviously these are the kind of things that don't show up on the map that you get given in school just to learn the big bits and pieces. I was saying at a time, close to each other, which means semen and colon. Very close to each other on a good day. Kirsty's off to Google. And the city called Sengelosa, which means bedless. Yes, the idea is like herding cats, so he's probably reacting the best way possible. If you don't understand, just ignore it and move to the next one. Probably the easiest way. You've also got a town called Zwaardschap, the black sheep. Is it a euphemism? Oh, speaking of Dutch, the man himself, you see the little Dutch flag? Johan Cruyff, one of the greatest to ever do the business, one of the best of all time, one of my all-time heroes. I was going to say he's my Twitter avatar, but you don't follow me on Twitter, so you wouldn't know, but yeah, he's been my Twitter avi for a long, long time. Absolute genius of a fella. And I've met him. Thankfully met him. I met George Best. Helvet means hell. Yeah. Volbe, violent city. I didn't know. Yes, Haruki was definitely without a shadow of doubt one of the best players that ever existed. He is absolutely beloved in Barcelona as well. Obviously he's got the Johan Cruyff Arena in Amsterdam, but he's also got the Johan Cruyff Arena in Barcelona, which is he's got 2 football stadiums named after him. Not many people would be lucky enough to have one. To have 2 shows you just how highly regarded he is in both places. He was great. He just ruffled me hair as he walked past. We used to ask all the players to have a little game of football with us on the way to the players' lounge, and obviously he wouldn't, but he just ruffled me hair and walked past. He was playing for Feyenoord at the time as well. When we moved back, when he moved, he wanted an extra year or 2 on his contract at Ajax, and they wouldn't give it him. He ended up signing for Feyenoord. Very strange seeing him in that kit, but yeah, brilliant. And it was one of those things that they can never take it away from me. I've met him. One of my heroes. I also met Marco van Basten. Ruud Gullit, Frank Rijkaard, all had a little game of football with us. All young lads, some of the best players to ever play, all top people as well. Hanging Sword Alley. That does sound like it's London must be full of places like that where people went to get killed. Trump Street and Upper Butts. London, yeah, London being a very, very old city, and not just an old city in terms of being a city that's old, an old-fashioned city. Despite the fact that it's got huge skyscrapers everywhere, it's still got loads of real old places. It's crazy. I like some of the old stuff in London. Yeah. How do we? Yeah. You should be jealous. Meeting a legend, an absolute legend like him. He was effortlessly cool. You know what I mean? Some players they try too hard and it doesn't work. With him, he looked just cool. He was fantastic. A great football player, great manager, just an effortlessly cool fella. He was born to be on posters, I think, or on T-shirts, obviously. Just a shame they never won the World Cup in '74 or '78. They did deserve it. Netherlands should have won a World Cup at some point. Cities are old when they have Latin names. Yeah, plenty of places in the UK have Latin names, or have had Latin names and still maintain them. I know Chester is called Chester now, but it used to be called Diva. The Chester football stadium is called Diva Stadium because that's the Latin name for Chester. Yeah. Elm Hill in Norwich is very old. Some buildings are 600 years old. Norfolk seems the kind of place that it should be old. There should be a lot of stuff there that does come back from. It'd be ruinous if all of a sudden started getting loads of skyscrapers and developments that you didn't really need. Keep places like that the way they are. Some places should just be left alone, really. Alright, fair enough. London, there's loads of money there and there's space to build skyscrapers. Somehow they think they need it when they don't really at all, do they? Esbjerg means Ace Mountain in the fifth. It's the fifth largest city. My dad's been there. I know that he went there with I think it was with Middlesbrough. They got a ferry and went there and they played a few games. In fact, they played all over Northern Europe. I think he played in the Arctic Circle, he said. Bizarre. Lem City is close to Seaman and Culham. Lem means male member. So they're all close to each other. And how do we... Yeah, you're not great at the moment, but that was because you've got Ronald Koeman as manager. And he is one of the worst managers in the history of football. And one of the worst people I've ever seen in my life. I'm not bitter, but yes, he was awful at Everton, so he can piss off. I don't like him. Ruined us, absolutely ruined us. We're in the trouble now because of the stuff that he did when he was here. He went and spent hundreds and hundreds of millions of pounds on... we signed Davy Clarkson, Gylfi Sigurdsson and Wayne Rooney all at the same time. And all three of them can only play in one position, the same position. And then went and signed players for huge amounts of money. So we ended up losing so much cash. Stupid. And then he went to Barcelona, and all their fans were made up because he's a Barcelona legend, and of course on social media it was just full of Evertonians saying to Barca fans, he will get you relegated, you will hate him within 6 months. No, no, he's a legend, he's a legend. Within 6 months, all the Barcelona fans hated him because he's the most stubborn, idiotic man to ever manage a football team. On my soapbox again tonight, aren't I? I met him as well, him and his brother Erwin, when they were playing for Groningen. Yeah, he's got a massive head as well. Rinus Michels, yes, one of the best managers of all time, and one of the most forward-thinking. There's so many managers who've owe a debt to Rinus Michels for changing the way the game was played. Absolute genius, definitely an absolute genius, and not as well known by world football fans as he deserves to be. More people should know about him. Absolute genius of a man. Yeah, the Top Gear guys played a little football on Norway's most northern football field. Yes, that is crazy. Some of the football pitches that you have in the very, very, very far north. There's one on the Lofoten Islands, isn't there? Or up there anyway. And then, where was it my dad? I can't remember where my dad played, but it was northern Norway. He played against someone and just said it was crazy. That'd be somewhere I'd like to go. Northern Europe, where it's all sunny all day long, and then all night long is exactly the same. It'd be crazy. Yep, him and Cruyff made total football, or total football. Yes, which again is the kind of football that we tried to play in five-a-side on a Thursday night, and failed miserably. But we always tried. No long ball, everything to feet. I missed that. I missed those Thursdays playing footy with me mates. Tromsø, that's I think where it was. I think that's who we played against actually. But yeah. And I did used to play with my Dutch shirt on occasionally. The white one with the red and blue sash. Trying to be the next Van Basten. Instead of being Marco Van Basten, I was Marco Fat Bastard, more like it. You know, that was me, Fat Letizier, Fat Van den Houw. Lizzie were deeply in lust with Raymond van der Gouw. He's certainly got a certain look about him, hasn't he? Yeah, go and see Casper. Go and see that Midnight Sun the next time you're in Sweden during the summer. It looks crazy. And I know where we are in the UK, especially being in the north, it's we are far enough north that it stays very, very light, very, very late into the evening. It can still be almost daytime after 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. Yes, I know being Van Basten was quite ambitious, but you've got to have ambition, and I was, to be honest, I'm a pretty good player. I can play a bit. Daniel and Spencer, how are you doing? Much love back to you as well. I wouldn't be here without you. Lizzie, he's a beautiful man, made watching Man United every other day less of a penance. You shouldn't be watching Man United anyway. Follow your local team. You're about to go to the comedy gig. Enjoy that, boys. Enjoy it. It should be good. Very interesting. If nothing else, an absolute experience for you. Gorilla Avenue, Harlem Road, Valwijk Drive, as well as Parle Road, De Wijk Road and Alton Avenue, amongst many others. I didn't realise that. Loads of Dutch ones. I wonder if the people of Harlem in New York realise there's a proper Harlem in the Netherlands. Yeah, they are, aren't they? New York is a very, very Dutch place anyway, isn't it? I mean, obviously it used to be called New Amsterdam, but Yonkers, isn't that? I've heard it's from the the sort of the Dutch word for someone abroad. Something like that. Daniel, Hell 9 back to Spencer as well. Hello too. Enjoy. Oh, you had to watch Leighton Orient, West Ham and Wolves. That's not a bad triumvirate. Leighton Orient. Oh, my dad had a really bad time at Orient. He missed a goal, an open goal against Orient. In fact, he also missed one against Wolves. And Middlesbrough fans and Wrexham fans, it was Middlesbrough fans hated him for it. But, you know, they love him as well. Yeah, Yankees. The Bronx, named after a Dane. It's good, isn't it? The way European influence spreads here, there, and everywhere. Yeah, they're from Essex, which relates to the Netherlands. You'd think lots of East Anglia and Essex would be very, very closely connected to, well, Netherlands and Belgium because of how close they are. And obviously, if you have a look at the Norfolk and Suffolk and the Netherlands, just look at the same place, to be honest. Same layout, same country. You've even got windmills, haven't you, in Norfolk and Suffolk? Just looks the same. There will be a Holland in England as well. Got to be. Where I live is Southport, just north of Liverpool. If you go just down the road, there's an Up Holland and there's a Down Holland not too far away from it as well. Two little town names. And then the pies that we eat at the match are made by Hollands, which is the name of a family, but it would have come from the place, obviously. Lots of connections between the two countries. Lots of Germanic influences as well, and Scandinavian and whatever, Norse. Horsey has a wind pump. Is that from Blackadder, Monday? You were all born in Leytonstone, so Leighton Orient is your local team. But wasn't Beckham from Leytonstone as well? And grew up supporting Man United, obviously. So you got Brighton as well. I don't mind Brighton. I quite like that. It's not a bad team to be supporting at the moment. Yeah. I don't mind Orient. I was glad they got promoted as well. And yeah, you have a South Holland and a North Holland, which I try to tell people when we move back from Netherlands. That, you come back from Holland? No, Netherlands. Holland is just two little bits of it. Amsterdam, North Holland, Rotterdam, South Holland. There's a huge country. Well, not a huge country, but the rest of the country is not just them two places. Old farmhouses built from Flemish bricks, sent on as ballast on barges. Yep, and you sent back wool. I seen that was on Coast. Did a series or a few episodes of Coast where they went to Netherlands, Belgium, Sweden, Denmark, and Germany, I think, as well. And on the one where they did Belgium, they mentioned about the barges that went across, and they mentioned Norfolk especially. I remember seeing that. It was a good episode, actually. I like that. That's why it does look, I mean, obviously I've never been there, but when you show you film of Norfolk and Suffolk and they show you some of the buildings, you think they really are not from the UK. They are from somewhere else. They look completely different. New York, Utah, Nebraska, Kansas, Iowa, Minnesota and South Dakota has cities named for Danish cities. The US will have cities and from all over Europe. Everyone in Europe went over there and went, right, we're having this. So there's loads of English ones. There's loads of, like Bismarck, North Dakota, is it? Your friend was at school with Beckham. he did alright for himself, didn't he? Arbex. And his voice has changed over the years, so he doesn't sound as stupid. He's another one that comes across as being a fairly alright lad. Made the most of his the abilities that he had. Uh, yes, Lizzie, Bismarck is a hoeing. Brilliant film. Flanders was having a monopoly on wool in the Middle Ages. Many Flemish moved to Scotland later, which would make sense, which is why you've got the Harris tweed and everything. Lots of wool in Scotland, lots of wool in the north of England as well. Lots of mill towns in the northwest. Oh, he went to a voice coach to deepen his voice. I didn't realise that. It does sound completely different, as though he's had to work really hard at it. Norwich City has the canary on the badge because it represents all the Flemish lace makers who moved to Norwich. I did not know that. I never knew where that came from, the canary. I'd probably the assumption that the colours came first and the nickname and the badge came afterwards, but yeah. I do like the kit this season, by the way, and last season's proper old school. I like that. There needs to be a few more old school kits. He's checking around behind Posh's back. Uses burner phones. It's an open secret in North London and Essex. Well, yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I mean, they probably deserve each other, really, don't they? Yeah, last season's kit was fantastic. It looked really 1980s. I can imagine the glorious Dave Watson wearing it, or Steve Bruce. Of course, we signed Dave Watson, didn't we, from Norwich? Was it $1 million? Seemed like a lot of money at the time. And then we got 6 million years out of him. We had a great game. We had a derby match at Goodison. And Liverpool had Robbie Fowler and Michael Owen up front with a combined age of, or an average age of about 19. And we had Richard Gough and Dave Watson with an average age of about 38 at the back. And them two never got a kick. It's definitely a business contract rather than a marriage at this point. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. They're making enough money between them that they don't need to piss around, do they? Keep it going for the sake of the money. Solvang, California is kind of Danish city. Is Solvang the one who's on Wheeler Dealers where it looks Danish? As though, again, you picked it up and just dropped it off in the middle of California. It's bizarre. Keep forgetting to level to join in, man. Yeah, well, it's either that or Botrix has just decided that level 10 is the height of it, and that's it. Well, the loudest bangs you ever heard was Jimmy Case breaking Watson's leg in '84. Jimmy Case. Ooh. His brother, Frankie, was a builder, I think it was, in Garston, where I'm from. And used to have on the side of his van, Frankie Case, builder, brother of Liverpool's Jimmy. If you want to do it, I suppose, in Liverpool, throw his name on there, you might get some work out of it. Yeah, horrible that. Apparently he's a decent fella as well, Jimmy. Tough lad. I was there at the derby. Gary Stevens, I think, was it? He broke Jim Beglin's leg, and I could hear the snap in front of me, 'cause it was right in front of me. And 50,000 people went quiet just for a split second, and the noise was horrible. Absolutely horrible. Jim Beglin has gone on to, he's a good mate of my dad's. The last game my dad went to, I was with him, and Jim Beglin was coming up the stairs to go to the gantry and had a good chat with us. Nice fella. See him in Birkdale quite a lot. Right, so it is, but in a kitschy American way, which is fair enough, I guess. If you're going to try and make it look like Denmark, you wouldn't need to have loads more Danish people there for it to be completely authentic. But it did look fairly Danish from what I saw, so they've had a good effort at it anyway. Hell of a crack, yeah, I can imagine. It's a horrible thing, though. Steve's leveled up as well. Brilliant stuff. Botrix is playing ball with everyone but bloody Mandy. What's going on here? Let's have a look. I might have done something wrong, but you're definitely making points, man. Yeah, you're definitely you're earning more points, but I don't know why it hasn't levelled. Maybe 10's the highest level you can get to at the moment. I don't know. Steve, it's always a party here, mate. The whole thing, from start to finish. It's what we like seeing. Mandy, you are on level 10, 1,525 points. Again, I don't know at what point that flips over to level 11, or does it keep on going until you get 6 million? I don't know. The Botrix Discord is an absolute bin fire. It really is. One of 3 American serial killers was sons of Danes living in America, and what was in Solvang. Whacked 3 street workers. Oh. That reminds me, with that conversation that we had on Daniel's chat the other day. For the first 10 years that I lived in Southport, there was 4 murders, and I knew all 4 killers. That is one of the strangest things, really is. One of them was a fairly famous case as well. Lindsay Quay, her husband Mitchell, not only strangled her, but him and his brother put her in a bath and cut her up and just dropped bits of her all around Southport. His mum was the cook in the pub that we moved to. Really, really lovely lady. So we used to come in the pub quite a lot. The both of them did, which was just absolutely bizarre seeing that. And then a few years later, someone else happened to, and it was the ex-partner of one of my sister's mates who decided to kill a fella she was with, and almost killed her as well. She's still alive, but has been really, really lucky to get through it. But thought, this is bizarre. I know it's a small place. It's only 100,000 people or so, 99,000 I think it is. Less people here than Embrace the Sucks 21 have got subscribers, but yeah. So it's strange that I should know 2 of them, and then 3 and 4 came along. It's like, this is too strange. I need to start talking to different people. But we lived in a pub for 12 years, and it was a very popular and busy pub. So the majority of people who ever lived in the town will have come through there at some point, and you get to know them. So I suppose that was always bound to happen. But yeah, very, very strange. Sorry, Steve, all 4 killers. But I did know 3 of the people who were murdered as well. The 4th one, I didn't know who it was who got killed, but I know who did it. So it's very, very, very strange. Yes, I suppose I was the common denominator. But nothing to do with me. And it never happened after they'd left the pub. It wasn't like they come in, had a few Nelson Mandela, and went out and started icing people. Didn't work that way. But yeah, very, very strange. It's one of those, when you sit back and think about it, and a few years later, how could there have only been 4? And I knew all 4 killers. So bizarre. I think probably between us, we all know at least one who might not have been caught. I think we know more murderers than we actually realise. Very, very strange. Yeah, I have to be careful talking about it. If I get a warning, fine. I'll just explain to them that I've had a stroke and my brain doesn't work perfectly, and I didn't realise I was doing something wrong. If you want to push it any further, you'd be taking on a stroke victim. You don't really want that, do you, Mr. Nice YouTube people, men? Yeah. or alternatively, the streams are not made for adults. They are put down as not being for kids. So they are for adults, not for kids. And we're not saying anything that didn't happen. It's just news. This is news. Things that appeared on the 6 o'clock news in the UK. News. Inside scoop when it comes to the news, but it's still news nonetheless. And I've not had. There's no weapons here. There's nothing that can be shown to be dodgy. There's no nudity. There's no. What else is it? They get up in arms over. I think just talking about stuff like that shouldn't be an issue on account of the fact that there's also entire channels dedicated to true crime. In fact, there was that video that I sent the link, didn't I, into the RDA chat about the fella that live streamed, who wasn't actually live streaming when he unalived his ex. Plus, to be honest, is YouTube going to pick up the way I say murder? Or are they just going to think that I'm French talking about shite? It's just what you need, how do you hear it? People telling you stuff like that. No, don't tell me about that. I don't need to know. You're here for one reason and one reason only. We're going to get you well. Not well enough to go and do more of that. Very strange. Yes, I will need to change that as well, Mandy. I will need to change the Botrix line, because that's getting very old very quickly, isn't it? It is to me, and I wrote it. No. I'll do that when I've finished. Speaking of which, what time is it? Oh, right, well, we're getting there, aren't we? Oh, yeah, if you see enough patients, there always will be some. What's been going on with EB? What happened? Been out of the loop for a while, Steve. I don't know what has been going on with him. I seen a thing the other day that he posted about Russell Brand, and it was like, why haven't people come forward earlier? Well, the reason why is because if you want to have a career anywhere in the media, don't have a go at the people that they would like to protect. It's the reason why no one came forward about the likes of Jimmy Savile and people like that and Rolf Harris, is because they're protected by those high up. Now things are changing slightly, and allegations about what happened in the past can be made because it won't necessarily get swept under the carpet. That's why people are doing it now. And everyone called him out over being an absolute creep, and I've been doing so regularly over the years, so it's not like it's just happening now at all. But yes, he's an absolute scumbag. Oof. Your best friend. Ooh, Lizzie, that's a hell of a story, that one. Not good. Not good. Doesn't just what goes through people's minds. I don't know how they can do it. I suppose, well, I reckon we've all got it in us, and I think normally the trigger would be um, if someone harmed your kids. At that point, I think you'd be able to, you'd probably be able to do anything. But I think it's within all of us. But being normal means you can keep that hidden well within you. The ones who can't are the ones that are the dangerous ones. Well, yeah, Lizzie, 2 women that he's assaulted. It's obvious he's guilty. He hasn't hidden the fact of what kind of person he was in the past, but it was always just seen as being, oh, he's just Russell being Russell. No, it wasn't. I don't get why fellas do these kind of things. Just, especially with him. I mean, he's a good-looking lad and famous. I don't suppose you'd have to lean too heavily on his fame to be able to get women. So why keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it and do some of the things that he's done? No. Men, if any men's watching, don't be a knob. Be nice. And no means no. Yeah, people can be horrible to each other, especially if they get away with it. If they can get away with it, people will push as far as they can. Which again is why part of the thing that we had with the likes of Jimmy Savile for doing it as long as he did, because he could get away with it. When you've got people on your side who are willing to sweep everything under the carpet, you're just going to keep on doing it, won't you? If you don't, and people like Russell Brand end up getting arrested for it and charged with it, it might make other people start thinking twice about doing it. But while you're in the media and you know full well the rest of the media is willing to back you up and just start questioning. I mean, that's the whole point of him going full right wing. He was always a lefty lovey. He's gone full right wing conspiracy because that's an easy way of building up enough people who will try and protect you from whatever is coming your way. Very narcissistic. And David Williams as well. Him and Keith Lemon I despise with a vengeance. I think Keith Lemon, Lee Francis, there will be something coming out about him because the way he talks to women on some of his shows I don't like. It doesn't seem normal. But they both do that same thing where their entire idea of comedy is just lisping. Put an S on the end of a word and lisp. That's their entire comedy oeuvre. No, not good enough. Yeah, definitely something about David Williams that doesn't sit right. It might just be that he's a colossal prick. But, you know, not good. Very, very odd. Anyway, yeah. I've been ranting on too long, haven't I, yet again. I start every one of these with no idea what I'm going to say, and then 2 hours later I'm still chatting absolute wham. Speaking of which, chatting wham, we need more people like George Michael. Wouldn't it be nice? More like him. Less Russell Brands, more George Michaels. Yeah, Bob Mortimer's called out David Williams. If the nicest man on earth can call you out, then you've done something wrong. Bob. Bob Mortimer mentioned my dad once as well, actually. He was on Football Focus. In fact, he's mentioned him twice. He was on Football Focus and mentioned him. He said, I wouldn't mess with Billy Ashcroft. And he also mentioned him on Fantasy Football with Badil and Skinner. He mentioned him on there as well. Strange, isn't it? He obviously watched Middlesbrough when my dad was playing for them, so he's very much aware of him. Unfortunately, I can't get to meet Bob Mortimer through my dad, and my daughter can't get to meet Ryan Reynolds through my dad. Steve, you've missed it. It's repeated on Thursday night though. That's when I normally watch it. Can't beat a bit of Bob. How do we go and get some sleep and then smash work next week? As I'm sure you will, as I'm looking forward to doing work. God, I hate work. Yes, Bob loves him because he's just, my dad's my dad. That's why. That's why people like him. Yeah, so I'll have to go as well because there's a bottle of alcohol-free red wine with my name on it, except it hasn't got my name on it. It's got Iceberg Merlot written on it. And even though Iceberg Merlot would be a really good name for a Las Vegas style singer, it's not a good name for a mild-mannered civil servant. So, yeah, I will. I'll let you go. I love that phrase. I'll let you go. Isn't that the most English phrase of all time for I can't be arsed talking to you any longer? So I'm saying to you that I'm letting you go to make you think that no. We always do it on the phone, don't we? I'll let you go. No, you're not. You're just telling me to piss off, but in a nice way, aren't you? Yeah. Anyway, I'll let you go. Right now, thanks for joining me as always. I love talking to you. Yeah, this is my pub. I can't speak to my mates anymore. I don't see them. This is my pub. This is me Tuesday night in the Pen and Wig. I can't have it, so you are the Tuesday night Pen and Wig, and it probably won't mean that much to you, but that is as high a compliment as I can pay to you. So thank you very, very much. And hopefully I will see you very, very soon. I will chat in the RDA. Thanks for joining. Bye.